What kind of question is that? My favorite speedrunners are Master Noi, obviously.
Если вы хотите увидеть любимого халфера и задать ему вопрос, напиши их вместе с именем в комментариях. Самые интересные вопросы попадут в следующее видео. Хорошего просмотра!
Well, I think it was in 2008, I was playing Half-Life 2 Deathmatch and I came across this scripting scene. So they had a lot of configs and stuff, and you had to execute them using the exec command, and I thought this word looked really cool, so I decided to use it as my nickname. Later though, I started playing Half-Life Deathmatch and I came up with the executable, like a variation of my original nickname, with a 4 and an E, so it looks cool. And later I thought it looks even cooler without the capital E, so it just became .executable like it is now. So the first Half-Life game I played was actually Half-Life 2, and it was the first game that I played that had such a in-depth storyline and lore behind it, so I was quite fascinated by what it had to offer. Back then I only played like multiplayer games without any story behind it, so it was just really fascinating, you know, the in-depth story of Half-Life 2, also the science fiction elements in the game, and I remember really enjoying messing around with the physics engine in that game. I really did a lot of like, yeah, just messed around with it and tried to see what's possible in that game. So it was quite an amazing experience for me at the time. Since I always like to mess around in games and try to find ways to exploit them or do things that are not really intended by the developer, for example like climbing outside the map, you know, reaching places that you're not supposed to reach, or like killing friendly NPCs that are supposed to help you later in the game, and like breaking the game entirely. I really had fun doing that, so eventually I came across Half-Life 2 Done Quick, which was one of the first Half-Life 2 segmented speedruns, and I remember after watching it I was really inspired with what they have found, like all the tricks that they've come up with, like especially flying, that I wanted to be able to replicate everything myself, and yeah, that's what I did. I learned everything, every single trick, tried to replicate as much as I could, and eventually I tried to beat the game as fast as possible, which is pretty much what speedrunning is. Yeah, so I did that, and later I came across source runs, which leads us to the next question, I believe. I found source runs in 2009, right after they released their Half-Life 2 Episode 1 speedrun in 35 minutes, I believe. And I watched it, I really liked it, and I wanted to be part of the fun, you know, I wanted to work with those guys. So I joined their forums and I hang out around in there, and at the time they were working on the Half-Life 2 Episode 2 speedrun, which actually came out many years later because it was restarted many times. But the first speedrun that I did with source runs was Mission Improbable mod. I did it together with a Swedish guy called Iggy. I'll talk about that later. But there were also people in source runs like Quadrazid, who has been working on Half-Life 1 speedruns. I really enjoyed those, and yeah, through source runs I just discovered the entire Half-Life speedrunning scene pretty much. And later there was Half-Life 2 Dwamov, which is when source runs really began to take shape, with a lot of new members coming in to help out with that project. So that was like, I think, one of the real beginnings of source runs with that with Half-Life 2 Dwamov speedrun. So I worked on many speedruns, but the most difficult one, I may say, is the actually very first speedrun that I worked on, which is Mission Improbable mod with Iggy. So it's not that it took a massive amount of skill to do, but there was one place in the final map of the mod that required a lot of luck to get this ABH launch, and we got stuck on it for over a year. The speedrun was started in 2010, but we only finished it in 2012, I think, to put things into perspective. It was just really lucky launch, like really precise setup that we couldn't get. Iggy even made a video about it. But yeah, by today's standards, that speedrun is probably really slow. Like nowadays, it would be, you know, possible to go much faster. Half-Life 21, fake or not? No, that's a good question. So I want to say that you know, it's actually both. Everything, it's not fake. Everything you see in the speedrun is 100% possible, not edited, not cheated, and yeah, you can do everything yourself if you just know how to. Like everything is just you can do everything in that run, and it's not fake. But one of the things why it is not considered legit is the fact that it uses 250 FPS and uncapped bunny hop. So this combination is impossible because it never existed in any of the official Half-Life versions. And I don't see anyone talking about this. But you know, the community considers it as a legit run because it's not supposed to be like a world record, you know, as a competition. It's more of a demonstration of what's possible to do in the game, and because of that fact, it's totally fine. It's not fake. It's considered, it's accepted by the community. Let's just put it there. Oh boy, that's a long story. So in 2008, I was on one of those websites, on one of those sketchy websites where you can get you know, things with 100% discount, so to speak. I discovered Half-Life multiplayer, and I didn't know that Half-Life had multiplayer. I have beaten the storyline of Half-Life 2, Half-Life 1, but I didn't know that Half-Life had a multiplayer, so I was like, okay, what is this? Let's check it out, you know, maybe it's a lot of fun. And it actually was. I joined some servers. There was a sort of active Lithuanian Half-Life deathmatch community back in the days. Not anymore though, it's dead now. And yeah, I played it a lot. I really enjoyed it. Didn't reach that skill level at the time. It was only in 2011 that I discovered Quadrazid used to play AG as well, and he actually sort of introduced me into AG when I watched the match being played by Quadrazid against another Lithuanian guy who was a Half-Life deathmatch player, and just watching Quadrazid play was really mind-blowing for me. Like, he had such an insane skill that I wanted to, you know, be able to do the same. So he really inspired me to start playing Half-Life or AG, and yeah, that's how I came into playing AG, and ever since then I've been playing it, you know, practicing it. I was a total noob just like everyone else, but now here I am. It was a long journey. It was 7 years ago actually. Yeah. I don't think I have a, you know, certain specific NPC that I hate the most, but if I had to say, it would probably be headcrabs in Half-Life 1, since there's, you know, a couple of sections where you're really low on health, and it's very easy, you know, for a headcrab to just bite you once and you're dead. So that is really annoying. Also, I would say Barney, you know, where you have to skip the chapter in Office Complex by having Barney open the door. That's also pretty annoying if he doesn't listen to you, you know, runs into places where he shouldn't. So probably those two NPCs are the ones that I dislike. I don't really have a favorite NPC. Okay, actually I just came up with one NPC. It would probably, I don't know if it's considered an NPC, but the snarks are pretty good. You can climb walls with them, so that would be my favorite. The reason I play with scripts is that when I started speedrunning Half-Life, the thing that is nowadays called RTA was not really a thing. Back in the day, speedruns were mostly done segmented, and the Half-Life speedrunning community always used scripts in Half-Life 2 Done Quick, in Spider Waffles speedrun. So it was just accepted that people were able to use scripts, and that's how I learned to speedrun the game. Only later, though, people have started to do like RTA speedruns and scriptless speedruns. I never jumped that train, so I never really learned how to run scriptless, and that's why I still run scripted. Also, another reason is that I've been playing AG with scripts as well. So I'm so used to the game, you know, when I play with scripts that, you know, trying to play scriptless just makes my, you know, brain melt. I'm completely not used to it. You know, I think I'll say that it's due to the mechanics of Half-Life, which is b-hopping, being like skill-based. You know, the movement is entirely skill-based, and I think that's one of the reasons why there are so many people interested in Half-Life, because it's sort of easy to learn but hard to master as well, and it's just a lot of fun to just b-hop around the map. It's always been fun. Like, look at the people who are playing CS Source for the b-hop maps and the b-hop scene in CSGO, or, you know, people have always been b-hopping and enjoying to do it. I think same reason Half-Life. Well, and also the reason because Half-Life is one of the best games ever released. If you look at Metacritic, it has one of the highest ranks there, so yeah, I guess not only, like, it's a very good speedrun and a great game, you know, good mechanics. It's just all in one that makes it people want to speedrun that game. Fuck, I don't know. Who owns beer to Freeman? What kind of question is that? Barney. Oh boy. I don't know. This is really hard to answer. Nothing comes to my mind right now, but maybe, you know, on a rail. Yeah, on a rail. I'll say on a rail, because b-hopping there so fast is so hard. You always get stuck on stuff, and it's annoying. And screw up that chapter very easily. Scripted, because I run scripted, but I really have respect for people who run scriptless. I think there's a lot of skill involved, even more than scripted, but I like scripted because there's more things that you can do with it. Yes, he's very charming. I mean, how can you say no to his smile? It's just amazing. Yeah, they do often. If you have watched me play on the tournament, I self-ghost myself many times. Maybe not through the lamps, but I die every now and then through them. So yeah, I get punished. Yep, he's alive. I met up with him 3 months ago. He was alive and well. Very cool dude. I'll say maybe that my favorite speedrunners are Yalter, Cool Kid, and Master Noi, obviously. No, and who's my third? Probably Quadrazid, yeah. The Holy Trinity. Я надеюсь, это было интересно для вас, ребят. Спасибо Алану за эту возможность, поэтому подписывайтесь на него и на меня, само собой. Увидимся и не дадим Half-Life умереть.